Big match Monday night live on talkSPORT. We are going to be at the London Stadium. It's West Ham against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Is it fair to call Monday night's match between those two clubs El Saco? Is that okay? I'm not sure it is, actually. Julen Lopetegui is fighting for his job after another timid defeat in midweek, this time to Leicester. I thought they were poor in that game. I know they had a lot of chances, but their defensive work was awful. Gary O'Neill's defence has conceded 36 goals in 14 Premier League games. Surely we're going to have a goal fest on Monday night. Neither of the fan bases are happy. Does there need to be a little bit of context here? What do you think? What do you think about the whole thing?
No, I think it's fair, actually. I think it's a fair assessment. I think West Ham are actually doing better than it looks in terms of the points total. They're not down there in the relegation battle, but I just think the style. We've spoken about West Ham since the start of the season, haven't we? Again, I got hammered at the start of the year for saying I didn't think it was the right fit, especially with the narrative about style of play change, the West Ham way, all of those things. I don't think the manager fits. I also think he looks like he sulks a bit when I'm watching him. His body language isn't one of the up-to-date manager, shall we say.
There was a brilliant clip, wasn't there, on Tuesday night when the commentators said he should be much happier with the way that they responded to the goal, and then it panned to him and he was sitting there looking like he was going to kill someone. Well, he doesn't look not. It. Maybe inside.
And then for Wolves, I just think they had a really difficult start. We all gave them the grace of that. I worked the Southampton game. When they beat Southampton, you're like, right, let's kick on. And then it's just flat as to deceive. I think when a manager comes out after a game like Gaz did after Everton and said, we got physically beat up and they basically old-manned us, that's a worry for a team that's in that predicament. And they just seem to self-sabotage as well. The goals that they concede at the minute just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all.
Can I make a case? And certainly I'm playing devil's advocate here because I believe in one manager more than I probably do the other. Just for the alternative take on it. It's 14 games into a season. 14. Yeah. Managers have to make sometimes what look like, you've done it, baffling decisions.
I didn't get 14 games.
Because of stuff that people don't know about that's going on in the background, right? Lopetegui's working with a new squad. He's got to integrate his style, mechanisms in a club that have been schooled in the David Moyes way for a very long time. It takes time if you want to do it properly. O'Neill's team sold their best defender, didn't replace him. They have a wage budget that would raise eyebrows at Leicester, Everton and Palace. If he keeps them up, he's actually done a very good job. Crikey, the bloke in the other dugout left last year because he said that squad was in no fit state to stay up and the rug had been pulled out from under his feet financially. I'm told it's a lot worse now than it was then. So the managers, have to do things to try and patch things up in different areas. They are going to get themselves in those situations.
Absolutely, but I think, again, I suppose devil's advocate to your devil's advocate is, if you're an owner, are you going to go to January and back this manager based on what you've seen currently with a fan base that's turning? I think a lot of it is more about the fan bases at this moment in time. Again, I don't want to portray confidence. I'm on a course with somebody who's in the West Ham team at the moment, coaching team, and a lot of the conversations with him is about time and change, and they feel that they've got the players on side. But the outside noise is, this could be, if he loses this game, he's sacked.
But if you're an owner, should you be swayed by that outside noise? We understand they had a meeting yesterday. He's been given a reprieve. He's got to win the game against Wolverhampton Wanderers.
That in itself is a bad statement, isn't it? They had a meeting, and by the way, we think this week we'll let you have one more chance.
Well, I was going to ask you this question
back him,
because
back him.
In 2024, is that how we run our football clubs? If you lose the next game, you're going to get fired.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I just think it's. My advice to Lopetegui, and again, I don't know the man, I wasn't keen because I thought the way he left Wolves was poor. It showed a character trait that I didn't like. To leave a couple of days out before the season, I just thought, if you're going to go, then go early doors.
And that's not a new thing, by the way, because it happened with Spain and Real Madrid.
But I just think that's a character trait that I didn't personally like. But I also think, he should do more media and tell people what's going on. He's very closed and doesn't want anyone to see what he's doing, but also doesn't want any negativity. You've got to give a little to receive some good grace. And the performances have been awful. Let's call it right. It's exactly, if you didn't know and you looked at it, So David Moyes team with exactly the same players?
See, for me, Lopetegui, I think, should be under, take away the devil's advocate, I think he should be under more pressure than Gary O'Neill. And here's why.
Go on.
He's brought in, or the team have acquired, 7 players this summer that should be going straight into the first team. Max Kilman, Somerville, Rodriguez, Soler on loan from PSG, Wan-Bissaka, Jean-Claude Todibo, who is starting every week, and Nicholas Fulkrug, who would have started if he'd been fit. Okay.
Yeah,
they're definitely first-team players.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely first-team players. Wolves sold Pedro Neto and Max Kilman a year after selling Nathan Collins, Jimenez and Nunes for all big money, right?
Yeah.
They lost loads on frees, including Matinho, Johnny, Traore that year as well, before Gary O'Neill walked in the building. They begged, stole and borrowed to get players through the door on loan because they don't pay the wages and the transfer fees. They've got Strand Larsen from Celta Vigo on loan, who has been terrific, by the way. Andre and Tommy Doyle, who they bought in and they paid money for, they're prospects, aren't they? Let's be honest. Bellegarde is a prospect. The one blind spot, I think, is spending £10 million on Sam Johnston and not playing him because Jose Sar's had a couple of really difficult games. But what next for both these two teams?
It's a great question. When you label it like that, you would have to say that there is more pressure on Lopetegui. I still, again, I've said it before, I think that midfield for West Ham is one-paced. I don't see the dynamic movers in that holding midfield role. I think Wan-Bissaka's a good buy. I think when you look at Wolves, I don't know what their expectation should be just to stay up. That's a great season. They've got a few players.
Sorry, did you say Wolves if they stay up? It's a great season.
Of course it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course it is.
With the amount of money they're spending and not spending, if they stay up, they've done a good job.
But if they can keep hold of Cunha, they've done well for this season. I think he's putting himself in the shot window. But yeah, it is all on recruitment. I don't think West Ham's recruitment was as good as people make out to be. Still not sold on Somerville, and I'll let the jury be out on that. Fulkrug is 32, good target man, but he's a big guy coming into a new league at that age is really difficult to change. I think Wan-Bissaka was the only one now done, and Kilman, the only two that I was like, all right, that's good.
Todibo?
I'm not sure. We'll see. It's still early days. But I just think...
And you asked the question, who's doing the recruitment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where my point was getting to. I always worry, why do we blame the managers when the recruitment is normally done now over their head? They'll have an input, but it's the final say is on that.
I suppose the point is, and that's why I said at the start, not necessarily he bought, but he has, or the team have acquired 7 players to go in. There's a bit of chat at
West Ham that their director of football's under pressure as well, right?
So if the director of football is bringing the players in, but he wasn't too sure on Julen Lopetegui, and the owner's having meetings with Lopetegui and says, we'll keep you for now until you win the next game, see what happens. Does it feel like the structure's not 100%, everyone's not buying into the structure at that football club?
Yeah, I think everyone's a little bit confused of what the West Ham way is. You was always going to have a drop because David overachieved massively with that squad and what he had. You've lost Declan Rice, who's a player that's really difficult to replace, and now you're in a rebuild. But the rebuild is not great because you're in a situation where all of the same players are still playing. Mikel Antonio, they've been trying to replace him for about 7 years now.
Difficult to do.
Of course it is. But I mean, you keep bringing in strikers year after year because clearly they don't think that Mikel can do it on a consistent basis. And now you look at it and go, well, he's still the main man. So at some point, just back the guy a little bit until you can figure it out properly.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.